Hi everybody, we are going to be talking today about integers. Adding integers this time since we did our intro lesson to them last time. So in the book we had an example in there for this lesson, and it revolved a football play. I know nobody in here understands or likes football, right? So in this one, on the first down, there was a gain of 6 yards. On second down, there was a loss of 8 yards. And on third down, there was a gain of 11 yards. Did they make their first down? Did they end up getting 10 yards in this? I want to take this step by step, even if you're kind of going through it in your head and seeing the number line, which some of you might. But I want to attack it very systematically at first. So you start at your 0, that's where you start out when you get your very first down, and you added 6, and that's an obvious 6, plus 6. Well, now we're at a plus 6, but we lost 8 yards. So if you think about it, if you are at 6 and you lose 8, you're going to be at a -2. You're now below that 0 mark. So then in the third one, you start at the -2, but then there was a gain of 11. So after that gain of 11, you are only at a +9, but not quite enough to make your 10 yards, which is your first down. So you're probably going to have to kick, unless you have just the guts to go for it. Hopefully you make up that yard. So I'm going to talk about a model too, and I have these awesome little chips that a lot of times kids do like, and I've drawn a model too. I didn't have a really good yellow pen that would work, but my chips are either red or yellow. Okay, so we are going to say that the red is negative and the yellow is positive. So I am going to do 3 positives, and I need 5 negatives. I'm lining them up this way on purpose. So -3, and now we're going to have a positive, or a +3 and a -5. Sorry, that's the whole talking thing again. I can see from this when I line up a +1 and a -1, I can see that that's going to be a 0. So I can just take those off. And then the hangy outy end right here is going to be a -2. So I'll write that down. I have a -2 left over. Okay. So the next model I am going to show you that a lot of students do like to use, and again we're doing 3 and then plus a -5. So if we're at a 3, we're going to back up 5 places and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we're going to end up right there at the -2. Either way, if you want to, we can quick draw. Here's my 0, 1, 2, 3. Just draw -1, -2, -3. So if I'm at a 3, I need to back up 5 places. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I end up right here. While it's fine to do this at the beginning, to use the model and the number line to see those pictures in your head, you're not, just like when we do hundreds and thousands when we add and subtract, it's really difficult when you have a huge number. You're not going to get out that many chips, and you're not going to count that many backwards on a number line. What I'd like you to try to do is these 4, go ahead and pause the video, and then I will talk you through it. Okay, if you are ready to try these, we have a -4 and another -4. If we're at a -4 on a number line, we're going to back up 4 more places. It's going to be -8. If we have a -6 and then we add a 6 to it, we're going to end up at a 0. If we're at a -8, but then, or you're $8 in the hole, and then grandma gives you $10, after you pay your debt, you're going to have a positive $2. If you have $5, but now you owe somebody $9, you actually are in the hole $4. And again, on that one, if you were to take 5 and back it up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. In order to know which way to go and which sign to use, we're going to talk about absolute value. This is actually quite a simple concept, but the name seems to trip kids up. I'm not absolutely sure why. All that absolute value means is the distance any integer is from the value of 0. It is always a positive number, and that's inside these brackets. So this is supposed to be a -3, hard to read, sorry. -3 is, and that these brackets mean absolute value. Anywhere you see these straight up and down lines are not parentheses, they're absolute value signs. You may not have seen them before. So the absolute value of -3 is the same exact as the absolute value of +3. It's just plain 3. It means that this is the distance of 3 units from a 0. The absolute value of -121 is exactly the same as the absolute value of +121, which is 121. So on this, if we were talking about the absolute value of -9, it's equal to the value of the absolute value of 9, or just plain 9. The absolute value of -15 is just plain old 15. It means it's 15 spaces from 0. So I'm going to talk about keys. When you look at your assignment today, this is something that you can go back to and say, okay, what do I do here? If you have the same signs, like a +3 plus a +5, you keep the same sign. You just go through the operation. 3 plus 5 is 8. A -3 plus a -5, you forget the signs. 3 plus 5 is 8, but it's a negative, so you keep the same kind of sign on it. Simple, easy. It's the different signs that is the difference. What you need to do is you subtract the lesser absolute value number from the greater, and then use the sign from the greater. That's a lot of words to say. If you have a -7 and a +10, you know you have to find the difference between the two. Well, I know that that difference is 3. So if there was a battle between the absolute value of 7 and the absolute value of 10, the 10 wins. So it's going to be a +3. So in this one, the signs are different. So I know I have to find the difference between them. If the signs are different, find the difference. You might want to write that down. So again, 10 minus 7 is 3, but in a absolute value battle, the absolute value of 10 wins, and it is a -3 at the end. You could think of it on a number line, but that's pretty going to be pretty difficult for bigger numbers. So the next one is the opposites, the inverse property of addition. All that says is any number has its when you add the opposite of any number, it's going to be a 0. +8, the opposite is -8. When you add those two together, it's a 0. If you have $145 and you take $145, you're going to get a 0. So let's try these 4 and go ahead and pause that video. We'll go through them. All right, I'm going to talk you through these so that you hear my explanation. And so the first one is negative 10 plus negative 5. I have the same sign, so I know it's a 15, and it's with a negative sign, so I know I need to put a little negative guy right there. Ooh, different signs. If their signs are different, it means I need to subtract. So if I find the difference between 9 and 16, I am going to get 13. And then if I look at the absolute value, the 19 wins, so I know it's going to be positive. You do not have to write a positive if it's already positive, it's understood, but I like to do it just because I know that I've already done it and I did the battle between the two absolute values and the positive won out. This one, we see 8 and 15. Signs are different. When they're different, find the difference. So when I find the difference between these two, it's a 7. Now in a battle of absolute values, the 15 wins and it's a negative sign. So I put the negative right there. This one I hope you saw right away. Negative 5 plus negative 25 plus 25, you are going to get a big old 0 right there. So this assignment should go along pretty easily, but you're really going to have to think about the absolute value battles. Do you just plain add? Do you find the difference? Different signs mean find the difference. I'm going to go ahead and put that at the bottom. Different signs mean find the difference. Have a great lesson today. Refer back to these notes often when you get confused. Don't be afraid to try the models or the number lines, especially at the beginning. It helps draw those pictures that you need in your brain. Talk to me if you have any questions.